This week, it is the end of an era for the Bastion. A Brave Moros kicks off a capital brawl in Pure Blind. Winter Coalition deals with internal strife. Pandemic Legion get their golden fleet baited. There is no safe space from Vonhole for an 80-ship pilot. Ahbazon claims another expensive killmail. Structure spam creates good fights in catch. The clearout of Feythabolis continues unabated. Rekking Crew make the most of another super capital mistake. And all the bling cannot save a Machariel from a safety gank. Hello pod people, I'm Frost and this is your weekly EVE Online update. Welcome back. Let's start off the show by announcing the winners of the Scope Syndication skins, and at the moment it is the Kestrel skin. So going back to the 5th of April episode, Spectral Spectra, congratulations to you for winning your skin. And then from last week's episode, Kushmaster Jones, you have won. And Emerson Biggings, that is your YouTube name. I am still waiting for you to get in touch with me through my Discord so that I can hand out your skin to you. So there you go, that's all done, and I have 2 more skins to give away a little bit later on in the show. Right, okay, so I'm going to jump straight up into my box. I'm going to grab my pen, and we're going to go into Fountain. Normally we start kind of here and work around, and Fountain comes at the end, but we're going to start with Fountain this week because the big news this week is the Bastion have announced that they are shutting down. So this is a very, very sad day. There's no drama involved in this whatsoever. The reason for the Bastion, let's just bring up the Bastion here, there we go. So the reason for the Bastion folding is simply because its leader, that is Carneros, who used to be a CCP dev, really a great character in the game, has got some real life commitments, and they've changed recently and have become too much for him to both do the real life commitments and also run the Bastion. So the decision has been made to close the Bastion. This will take place on the 6th of May, and all the various corporations will most likely move into other areas of the Imperium, such as Goonswarm and the Initiative, who are right next to obviously in Fountain. Now, the Bastion were actually formed 8 years ago, so they are very much, a steadfast, part of the EVE community. So it's sad to see another alliance go, but it was understandable under the circumstances. And also, Carneros and the Bastion were very instrumental when AOM and the Ranger Regiment kind of palaver debacle happened. The Bastion provided a home for the Ranger Regiment corporations after the leadership was kind of kicked out of the Imperium. So there we go. That is the end of the Bastion. So we've got a couple of weeks. Obviously, that'll be at FanFest that the Bastion will close down. Hopefully, I'll meet Carneros in person and be able to give him a big hug and wish him all the best with his real life ventures. So there you go. So that's the very first piece of news. Also, it'll be interesting to see how the corporations move into the other groups. The other thing I should mention as well is the Bastion, had its own very well-defined culture. Very multicultural culture, and hopefully the corporations that are within the Bastion will be able to find kind of new homes that fit their culture within Goonswarm or in it. I would imagine most of the corporations will move into Goonswarm and still stay as kind of a Bastion-ish kind of group within Goonswarm. But we'll have to see and see how that all plays out. I know a couple of corporations have already left. Just a quick look. So this was announced a couple of days ago. That was on the 16th. This was announced, and you could see already from here we've already got a few groups that have moved out, and as you can see a few of them have gone straight into Goonswarm already. Okay, so let's move on to other news now. So we're going to go over to Pure Blind, and we're going to talk about these 2 systems here, so ECTAC P8R and GTAC M418. So ECTAC P8R is a very, very common place for gate camps, and a battle broke out that turned into quite a hefty battle. So here it is. It actually happened in the system of GTAC M4I8, excuse me, but it started in ECTAC. So what was happening was Brave was running a gate camp. A Thunder Child that belonged to Volta came to the gate, and a Brave Moros decided to jump in and get in on the action. From there, basically, all hell broke loose. This was provided to me, obviously, by the Reddit post. I also spoke to the FC on the Brave side about this. I haven't had a chance to talk to Greater Trash Community On a couple of these battle reports, I haven't had a chance to chat to both groups like I usually do. I've been super busy with real life and everything. I've actually got to fly to New York in like less than 12 hours. So I've been really, really tied up with that. But anyway, so let's get back to this fight. So the Brave Moros dropped in on the Thunderchild. Then basically the fight ended up on the other side of the gate in GM TAC or GTAC M. So Greater Trash Community, so we're talking we form Volta, we form Blob, who else is in Greater Trash? Unquote Alliance, and Scum Lords are the names that spring to mind in Greater Trash Community. So they formed Legions and Zealots. Then Brave responded, they bridged in Munins, and they brought in a Minakawa as well for support. And then everything then kind of escalated from there. So Greater Trash Community then dropped a fax, so then Brave dropped Dreads, and then Greater Trash Community dropped Dreads, and we ended up with a capital brawl as well as a subcap brawl. Now, from what I understand, Brave got the upper hand with the subcaps because of a really good boost from a Command Desi, so they managed to split up the Legions and the Zealots and were able to pick them off. But on the flip side, Greater Trash Community got the better of the Dreads of Brave and started basically blapping them. But then we had, as you can see on the right-hand side here, Snuffed Out and Never One to Miss Out on the Capital Brawl. So they showed up in some Tempest fleets with an Apostle for support and started blapping all the Greater Trash Community Dreads. And then right at the very end, Winter Coalition showed up in some Munins to basically whore on some kills as well. And then the other thing I spotted here as well, if you remember last week I talked about NoPro and how NoPro was flying his Raiju in a fleet in Fade the other week with the Zenitra kill. Well, this wasn't a one-off. As you can see, the Raiju was there involved in this brawl as well. So yeah, creds to bringing out the AT ship and showing it off in the middle of fleet fights. And we'll have more about AT ships a little bit later on in the news as well. But I think everyone was really, really happy with that. A few people sort of questioned, why are Brave shooting, Greater Trash Community, aren't they blue to each other, etc. The way that it works is that they are not blue, they are neutral, but when they have a common goal that especially involves SOB or anything like that, then they kind of work together. But otherwise, they are happy to shoot each other at every opportunity. And I think both sides were very, very happy with the result of this fight. And I think Snuffed Out were quite happy as well to have a capital brawl to jump in on. All right, so there you go. That's what happened in Pure Blind. Then we're going to go over to Veil of the Silent. So Veil of the Silent, I'm literally just going to circle it because we're not actually going to be talking about any particular system. We're going to be talking about Winter Co generally. So as I understand, within Winter Coalition, there is some internal drama on the Chinese time zone side of Winter Coalition. So Winter Coalition isn't just CN time zone anymore. Obviously, there's US and UK and Europe time zones as well, and US, sorry. But anyway, on the Chinese side, there is some drama, and this is what caused the iHub to be destroyed a couple of weeks ago. Was it last week? And I actually found out that that was a mistake. It should have been the TCU that got destroyed. It was not the intention of the director to kind of put the 4-HWWF system at risk, because obviously now we've lost the Sinojam is gone, and so therefore it is much less well protected than it was before. And we've got to wait a month before that iHub can go back. That Sinojam can go back. So anyway, the TCU's been self-destructed since then, and I know there's some internal drama, and that's all down to apparently some communication issues within the group. Also, what has been announced within Winter Coalition is they're kicking a couple of alliances. I think it's Lords of World Alliance and Destiny's Call have been given the boot, and have got 30 days to find a new home. So those two alliances may be moving to wherever. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with both of those groups. Lords of Worlds Alliance is mostly US time zone. I'm not sure about Destiny's Call. I think they were US time zone as well. I'm sure I'll be corrected if that was wrong. So that obviously clearly leaves a gap in USTZ within Winter Coalition, which they'll be looking to plug, I would imagine. So there you go. Right, so next we're going to go over to Ethereum Reach, because here we're going to talk about another battle report. Here we go. And this time round, it is something you don't see every day, because Pandemic Legion are pretty much vets, and they got properly baited by Snuffed Out and Deepwater Hooligans. As you can see here, we have a 35 billion loss for Pandemic Legion of their Paladin fleet, their Golden Fleet. So this was a pretty hefty bait. So the way that it worked is I have a couple of videos here to show you. The first one is from Snuffed Out. As always, I will link these in the description below so you can check them out. But essentially what happened was that Snuffed Out and Deepwater Hooligans worked together on this, and they need to find a way to create good bait. And so just a solo Praxis kind of floating around isn't going to pull out a Paladin fleet from Pandemic Legion. So what happened was that Snuffed Out and Deepwater Hooligans organized an NPSI battleship fleet. And this NPSI fleet, it was only sort of like half a dozen battleships or so, maybe a bit more, came into the system of PX-IHN and warped to the ESS, jumped into the ESS. And as a consequence of that, the Paladin fleet was formed, went after it. They went into the ESS. As they went into the ESS, Snuffed Out and Deepwater Hooligans cynoed in behind the fleet and then warped in behind them into the ESS, caught them completely unawares. And as you can see, basically everything, chaos erupted. And then I'm going to pause it right here because I also have another video, there we go, from the point of view of Deepwater Hooligans. So just so you know that there was 2 videos, I'll link this one in the description below as well. And so what we had here is that the Paladins were completely caught. They realized that they'd been baited, they got caught, and they tried to warp to an Astra house. Snuffed Out and Deepwater Hooligans were prepared for this and actually managed to get stop bubbles up in front of the Astra house. And so if they didn't blap the Paladins in the ESS, the ones that walked away actually got caught in bubbles just off the Astra house and then got destroyed there. So there you go. So quite a lot of stuff going on there, and quite the battle report for this bait. So it was very, very well played, and there you go. That was the end result of that. And okay, I'm going to now move on, and we're going to go over and talk a little bit more about just various stuff that's kind of been happening in Empire space. So these are just sort of kill mails that have grabbed my attention. The very first one is a Raiju kill. So there you go, we have lost another AT ship. This one belonged to Black Flag. But the thing that was really notable about it is it died in perimeter on the Jita gate in a 1.0 system, and it was ganked by a bunch of Lokis. And guess who was on the kill mail? Yes, Frederick Vonhole. So Frederick Vonhole claims another AT ship, this time not in a wormhole, not in the depths of nullsec, not in lowsec, but in perimeter. So absolutely nowhere is safe from Frederick. He will throw a bunch of Lokis, and looks like a Tempest is in there as well. Is that a Tempest? A Varga. They threw a Varga in there as well? Okay, so the Varga obviously got destroyed by Concord as well, I assume. So Lokis and a Varga. They wanted to make sure this Raiju died before Concord came, clearly. So there you go. And we also see Outlord No Pro, who, as we know, is the owner of that Raiju who was in the fight in Pureblind. So there you go. So taking out the competition so that the value of his ship rises, you see. That's a big brain play there. All right, so there you go. So that's the Raiju kill this week. They seem to be going down quite regularly at the moment, so it's good to see them all out in space after the AT. Then I'm going to go over to Anson, just to show that really strong alliance, who are not a very big group, but they do like to obviously kill capitals and stuff. They managed to catch this ratting hell in kind of their space, and I think this ratting hell actually destroyed one of their ships, and they got some revenge on it. It was actually a hyperspatial fit as well, so it was kind of ninja ratting, but Titans were dropped on it. So we've got 2 Leviathans, and then we had 2 Wyverns. And then we had a Chimera, so kind of the Kaldari force is strong with our SA. And as I understand, the Marshal was the tackle ship, and apparently a Marshal with officer mods can actually tackle a supercarrier all on its own. So there you go. So a super tanky Marshal to do the tackle there. So there you go. So that's a little bit of news for you there. Then we're going to go over to Genesis. So Ahbazon, as you know, Ahbazon is that system halfway between Amar and Jita. which is gank central, or not necessarily ganking because it's low sec, but is gate camping central. And this time a lonely Gnosis managed to catch a crane in Ahbazon on one of the gates, the Sharer gate. And as you can see, it was a 12 billion killmail. But what is really, really sad about this as well is that, first of all, the loot fairy, what is up with the loot fairy? Look at this. The loot fairy dropped 136 million out of the 12 billion killmail. So the loot fairy, as I understand, I talked about it last time about the loot fairy being rather angry, where apparently I think it's the Easter egg hunters upset the loot fairy. There we go. So that's the story I'm told anyway. So as a consequence of this, the loot fairy was mean yet again. And on top of that, these blueprints, it was a lot of original blueprints in here, which is what pushed up the price of the killmail. And obviously the thing to remember with blueprints is a whole bunch of these may have been researched. So not only have you got the loss of the killmail, the value of the killmail, you've potentially got the loss of time as well from if any of these blueprints, I won't know unless we actually spoke to the pilot, were actually researched or not, in which case then potentially we've got months and months of time gone down the drain there. So a very expensive, very painful killmail on that one. Okay, so time to do the giveaway. Let's do the giveaway as I've kind of covered the north as I usually do. So as usual, I have 2 Scope Syndication skins to give away. It is the Kestrel is our skin currently this month. And the way you enter the prize draw is you have to put a sentence in the YouTube comments down below with a keyword of my choosing. Now, as airlines have driven me nuts for the last few days, specifically JetBlue, I hate you. I think I will use the word fly for my keyword this week. So please use a sentence with the word fly in the YouTube comments down below. The cutoff date is the 22nd of April at 1800 UTC. I will then do the draw sometime on Saturday, so check your YouTube comments on Saturday night or Sunday to see if you've won. Contact me on the Discord and I can sort out your Kestrel Scope Syndication skin for you. There you go. All right, so time to move on with our news. So going back to Totland, we're going to go over to Catch, and this time a fight broke out in 9TAC8 GBA. As I understand, once again, I didn't have all sides of the story on this one, but as I understand, Cosmic Accord dropped a whole bunch of structures to all come out of an anchor at the same time, and a fight broke out because of it. The fight is here. So the fight was primarily between Rekking Crew on one side, and then Fire Coalition, Pandemic Horde, and Test on the other. The usual trio that we see down in the south there. And what we saw was that basically the Rekking Crew had slightly smaller numbers in terms of battleships, comparison to battleships. So they dropped some Horde Dreads to kind of make up the numbers, and then things escalated. We saw a few Nicks drop in there as well. They did manage to destroy some of the structures, whilst also defending their Fortis R, which I believe was refed at the same time. And also, I just wanted to point out on this is something I spotted, it's really good to see weapons of mass production kind of stepping up. So weapons of mass production, that is Thanax Corporation, he has his own YouTube channel, he's been doing, the story of his first of all his corporation, then his alliance ever since he started. They started off as just purely industry guys and then moved into nullsec, got kind of bashed around quite a bit, joined Rekking Crew, and since then they've kind of really stepped up their game on the PvP side. And as you can see, like after Sigma Grindset, who are full-on PvP group, they were the second biggest part of Rekking Crew in this fight, followed by Hero Coalition, Purposeful Helmeted Warriors, and I think there's a couple of others in here as well from Rekking Crew, Domain Research, Rogue Consortium, Purple Helmeted Warriors should be in there, Honourable Third Party, I think. There we go, you get the general idea. And but the main thing is it turned out to be a kind of even Stevens fight, and once again, both sides very, very happy with how all of this fight played out. Now, once again, I have 2 videos. I believe they're both of the same fight. They both take place in 9TAC8. This first one is from the point of view of a Serb that was involved in the fight, and then the second video, so this one I think was so this was the first one, and let me see if I can pause this quickly. And then the second one was from the point of view of a Fax and a Hall Phoenix that was involved in the fight as well. So there you go, so 2 videos for you to check out there. with regards to this fight, and I think this is over the Raitaru on both of them. So I think it is the same fight that we're seeing. I'm not 100% certain. It does look like the same fight. It's all the same ships, the same system, around the same date. So I'm hoping it is. If not, well, there you go. Lots of purple floating around and lots of things being shot. So that's the main thing, right? Okay, I'm going to just moonwalk out of that one. All right, so then let's go over to Feythabolis. So Feythabolis. Wow, how things have changed with Feythabolis. As you can see from last week, we've now had, I think all of these systems have now been, were they refed last week? I can't even remember. All of these systems have now been refed. And then also some of the Voodoo Warriors systems down here have gone. Also in terms of Fortizars, I mean, basically all the Fortizars have been cleared out. I'm going to mention specifically the Fortizars because they're kind of normally the staging systems. I'm not going to mention all the Athanors and Raitarus and Astro Houses and stuff. But 0YG was one of the systems, which I've got to try and remember where it is. There it goes down there. Was a Voodoo Warriors fort. So if you remember, Voodoo Warriors are a corporation within XIX, Legion of Death. They kind of do their own thing. They kind of spread out all across the bottom here of Feythabolis when Feythabolis was kind of burnt after the Legacy Coalition kind of died off. They took that space of their own accord. But anyway, so this Fortizar was destroyed. There was another Voodoo Warrior Fortizar destroyed in D4-2XN. Then RLH, that's Russian Legion of Honor, owned all of this constellation here, and their main staging system was OXC-UL, and in there was a Fortizar, Tatara, an Asbel, an Athanor, Raitaru. They all got destroyed. And then just recently, Star Trails Alliance, who were in this kind of area, they had their Fortizar destroyed, which was in UTH-N, which is right there. I should have circled that in blue to make it stand out. There you go. And in fact, if we actually look at the TCUs now, it'll give you an idea of kind of what it was like before. So there you go. So you could see that, you know, we had RLH over here. We had Unreal Alliance down here with Moonfire. And you can see XIX all the way along the bottom here. And then STA, Star Trails Alliance over this side. A bit of XIX in the middle. And then obviously now, you know, Coon Swarm, SIG and Init have been extremely busy just glassing this whole area, and they've pretty much cleared it out now. So it'd be interesting to see whether any groups move in here, whether they if anyone decides to make it their home. I don't think Fire Coalition will plan on returning here anytime soon because this will just repeat itself. And the Imperium have no interest in this space. Now we have seen obviously Cosco have flipped from Cosmic Coalition, have flipped from being part of Fire Coalition, have now joined Red Menace Coalition, who live in Impasse, Esoteria, sorry, just right next door. And then we have Spaceship Family kind of moving in as well from Esoteria down the bottom here. So whether RMC take more of this space or whether some other groups move in, you know, in the past, I think that was Out of the Blue, tried to move in here into Omis, and that didn't work well with them. Fire Coalition kind of just outweighted them completely and just pushed them right out in the space of a week. So we may see some groups come in here. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens. Then just very quickly in Esoteria, last week I talked about Triumvirate and CBA moving in to Esoteria and kind of securing one of the important systems that belong to Steinrus. Since then, we now have had a Fortizar that was in the system of C-VZAK deep in Ferrata Victrix territory, which is part of Steinrus, get destroyed. And as you can see, we've got stuff getting reinforced now as Triumvirate has continued to push Steinrus back into Stein. So definitely putting up a strong offensive there from the point of view of Triumvirate and CBA, obviously working with Red Menace Coalition. And I can't remember if I mentioned this last week. I know I definitely mentioned it at my Twitch show. Triumvirate and CBA are not part of Red Menace Coalition. They're kind of cohabitating in Esoteria. They are blue to each other. But Triumvirate and CBA do not have to respond to any Red Menace Coalition pings. They do their own thing, but they do coordinate, obviously, when working against Steinrus. So there you go. So that's kind of what's going on there. And that's pretty much it in terms of kind of warfare and, you know, Sov warfare and stuff happening in the south. Then I've got once again, some random kill mails to bring up. First of all, this Rekking Crew As you know, when it comes to Derelict and Domain, they are extremely good at hunting supers. They literally every week they're catching something. Even though every week I tell everyone to be super careful because these guys know what they're doing. And they're keeping an eye on you. They know who your alts are. And they're very, very good at catching stuff. Anyway, so they've caught this hell. This hell was traveling. And this hell unfortunately made a mistake. So it was using pauses, so it's basically putting down pauses to sino to and then to jump into. Unfortunately, the pilot had the caps lock key on when setting the password for their pause. So when they tried to get into their pause, they got ejected out into space. And Rekking Crew came in and killed the hell. Now, the extra little bit to this story was that the pilot actually won this in a Hypernet auction, or Hypernet competition for less than 500 million's worth of tickets. So the pilot obtained this hell for 500 million, and then literally 2 days later, it got destroyed by Rekking Crew. So easy come, easy go, I think is the saying for that one. Then over in Domain, still in Domain, but this is in Highsec this time, we have a Machariel that was destroyed, and it was basically ganked by Safety. Safety kind of being the new code, who go out and gank in Highsec. But the thing to note with this one was all of the officer mods on this. So all of the guns were officer mods. All of the tracking enhancers and gyros and stuff were also all officer mods, as well as the prop mod, the shield booster. It goes on and on. So you can have a look at yourself. But the end result is that we had a 33 billion kill mail on this Machariel. And this time the loot fairy actually was kind of a little bit kinder, so it actually dropped just over half of that, so or 2/3 of it. So there you go. That was quite the haul for Safety with this kill, and it just shows as well that you're never safe in Highsec, and it doesn't matter how much bling you have. If you get ganked, you get ganked. There's nothing you can do about it. There you go. So 33 billion loss for that Machariel. Then we're going to talk about the ratting kills and whaling kills. 18 roll calls this week, which is more than usual. Normally we've been about 11, 12 for the last few weeks. So that's picked up a little bit. There was only one ratting super that was destroyed this week, which was the one we talked about earlier, which was the one that RSA killed with their Titans and Wyverns and Chimera. And then the hell that we saw as well, that you just talked about, that was destroyed by Rekking Crew. That was it in terms of supers. So yeah, much more quiet on the super front. Then we're just going to finish off with obviously the big news that was announced by CCP recently, which is the Siege Green update. This is going to have quite an impact on the nullsec and the player conflict side, should I say, not just nullsec. It's going to affect lowsec, highsec, and also wormholes, more so nullsec and lowsec. But anyway, so the main thing is first of all, upwell structures. There's all of this stuff that's just mentioned here. The key elements here is that the shield damage cap has been removed. So now you can literally just drop loads of dreads on something and just one-shot something into its next timer. And then medium structures, so we're talking Astra House, Raitaru, and Athanor. No longer have two separate timers for armor and hull. It's all merged into one. So that means you can basically insta-blap a shield timer, and then you can only have one timer to destroy both the armor and the hull on the medium structure. Now, this is specifically notable for wormholers, because in a wormhole it now means you can now shoot an Astra House or destroy an Astra House, an Athanor, or Raitaru in a weekend. Which means you don't have to spend days trying to maintain hold control in order to be able to destroy structures. So that's probably going to affect, funnily enough, nullsec groups the most, because nullsec groups have a tendency to use wormholes for farming. They drop an Astra House in there to just use that wormhole for farming. And so they're not in a position to get good hold control on it over a short period or a short notice. And so we can see the wormhole groups probably having a field day with that, destroying a lot of nullsec structures in wormholes that are used for farming. Then the other big news is actually to do with manufacturing. So as you know, I'm not an industry person, but this all says it right here, that basically greatly reduced dreadnought manufacturing costs, which means that hopefully we'll see the return of dread bombs en masse again. And that would be great to see, because dreadnoughts have just been too expensive to use for dread bombs, except in very occasional circumstances, and hopefully we'll see Snuffed Out doing dread bombs on a daily basis again, rather than kind of just once a week or once every couple of weeks. And then obviously reduced faction and pirate ship manufacturing costs. So that means we can see the Nightmare probably making a big entrance. So obviously the Nightmare is used by Snuffed Out and Volta. Volta have been using them for ages. They love the Nightmares, but I can imagine we'll see other nullsec groups using them simply because they move so fast. They're very difficult to pin down. So they're kind of the battleship version of the Munin, in that, you know, they're they do lots of damage at range, and they move around very easily as well for a battleship. So I expect the Nightmares to return, and then Fire Coalition, I expect them to bring out their Machariels again. They love their Machariels, so any opportunity for them to use Machariels, I think they will jump at the chance. And then obviously we're seeing as well they're reducing other capital, super capital ship manufacturing costs. And reducing logistics requirements. So there you go. So I'm literally just reading what's on the screen there, but you get a general idea anyway. So there you go. So hopefully these changes will take place soon, and obviously with anything to do with industry, it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to see a few weeks for that to all roll in. So I'd imagine after FanFest, which is now only 2 or 3 weeks away, we'll start to see these changes starting to take effect, and we'll see a change in New Eden as a consequence of that. All right, so that's all from me for this week. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll join me on my Twitch show, which is at 2000 UTC on Friday. And if not, I'll see you here next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.